He was an artist chasing his dreams, and along the way, he connected with a kindred spirit.
My mom met Michael at work and fell in love.
They had like this kind of like glow, sparkle kind of romance.
But their passionate love story was cut short one fateful night.
You've been shot in the head?
She and her boyfriend had been shot and needed assistance immediately.
While two victims cling to life, detectives must unravel what went wrong.
Was this a robbery gone wrong, or was this an execution?
Someone had been stalking her and peeking through our windows.
And when a possible third victim emerges, the investigation goes into overdrive.
I remember asking, where's my sister? Where's Star?
She didn't answer the phone for none of us. She didn't call back or anything. Something ain't add up.
It's a case filled with miracles.
God had other plans. She was still alive.
And monsters.
He was a controlling man, very controlling man.
It was crazy. Only Satan is that controlling.
There are legitimate concerns. Will he do this again?
They found 70 human bones behind a grocery store.
He was the devil's child, I would say.
August 5th, 2016, Charlotte, North Carolina. It's the last days of a sweltering summer in the Tar Heel State.
Charlotte is one of the fastest growing cities in America, and that's been that way for decades now.
It's a college town, and UNC Charlotte sits right in the middle of University City Boulevard.
It's a wonderful place, just wonderful.
But as night falls on the charming city, a desperate 911 call comes in to local dispatch.
The dispatch received a very unsettling, disturbing call.
The caller identifies herself as 46-year-old Katrina Paul.
She seemed to be in highly distress, and she was stumbling over her words.
Katrina said she'd been shot.
He shot me. Okay, where did you wait for that? In my head. You were shot in the head?
Yes, ma'am.
Katrina goes on to say that she isn't the only victim in need of medical assistance.
She said her fiance, Michael Gretzinger, had also been shot.
Okay, where did he get shot at?
He's in the head.
By the time police arrive on the scene, Katrina is barely conscious.
You take her, I've got him.
And her fiancé, Michael, is in even more dire shape.
Hey, sir, can you hear me?
He was alive, but barely.
I've got a pulse here.
He was non-responsive and unconscious, unable to communicate to them.
Michael was on the brink of death, and they had to move fast if they wanted to save his life.
38-year-old Army veteran Michael Gretzinger had a passion for creativity.
After concluding his time in the military in 2009, he started pursuing some of his other dreams.
He wanted to pursue an acting career.
He also wrote poetry.
He was always looking out for everybody, trying to lift people up and inspire them.
To fund his passions, Michael started working odd jobs around the Charlotte metropolitan area.
Eventually, he found a job at a grocery store.
And it was there he met 44-year-old Katrina Paul.
My mom met Michael at work. They worked together and became close. He was a cool dude.
You say you write poetry?
Yeah, not like Shakespeare or whatever.
Okay.
More like spoken word stuff.
Well, that's really cool.
Michael was drawn to Katrina's bubbly personality.
My mom's very goofy, and her laughter is amazing as well. She laughs about anything. She talks to anyone, and she hugs everybody. That's the warm spirit in her.
As outgoing as she was, she's like, you know, kind of like the life of the party in a sense. And I think he was like one of those kind of guys where like he didn't meet a stranger.
It wasn't long before the two became more than just co-workers.
They would be around each other, and it was kind of like a puppy love kind of thing. They had that kind of newfound love that felt familiar. I could tell that my mom was happy.
After just 6 months of dating, Michael proposed.
When Michael wanted to take it to the next level with my mom, I gave him my blessing because he was so respectable about it. He didn't want to impose, he didn't want to intrude. And I'm a mama's boy, so that was important to me. It only felt natural that they would be looking for a happily ever after.
And as their wedding day drew near, everything seemed to be going the happy couple's way.
The two started to look for a place to live together, and they found a place in the university area of Charlotte.
She was super excited. We talked about her decorating and decor and things like that.
Michael also found a new job in radio that he really enjoyed.
He went on to become a well-known and respected, fun-loving radio DJ.
For Michael and Katrina, it seemed like the sky was the limit.
They had like this kind of like glow, sparkle kind of romance.
But now, first responders have arrived at the couple's apartment to find them both suffering from gunshot wounds to the head.
Paramedics determined that both were in very serious condition and in need of immediate medical care.
It was a miracle that either of them was still alive.
And as an ambulance rushes them to the closest hospital, their lives hang in the balance.
It quickly became a race against the clock.
It's unclear if either will see the light of day in the morning.
After settling down in Charlotte, North Carolina, 38-year-old Michael Gretzinger was pursuing his dreams with the support and encouragement of the woman he loved, Katrina Paul.
My mom met Michael at work and fell in love. They were together about 6 months before he proposed, and they moved in together.
The engaged couple was looking forward to what the future held in store for them.
I think they just were excited about taking it to the next level. It was like that commitment to each other for the rest of their lives.
But now, it's uncertain if they'll even live through the night as paramedics rush them to the emergency room.
They are both clinging to life.
She had been shot in the head twice and was teetering on the edge of consciousness the entire time. But he was in much worse condition than she was. He was non-responsive.
While ER doctors work to stabilize the couple, detectives arrive at their apartment and begin trying to piece together what happened.
Why would somebody do this to somebody, first of all? And how do we get them behind bars and pay the penalty?
Unfortunately, detectives don't find much evidence left behind.
Investigators do not find any signs of forced entry or robbery at the scene of the crime.
To the detectives, this suggests a crime of methodical execution. Michael and his girlfriend were not the victims of a random crime.
They were targeted by someone they knew.
And one of the responding officers already has a lead on a possible suspect.
I saw someone when we first arrived.
The officer said when he arrived at the apartment complex, he saw a man running with a towel.
Hey!
The officer explains he tried to run after the mysterious individual, but he soon disappeared into the night.
The officer said that he saw him about 60 yards away, and so he wasn't able to give a very good description.
Be on the lookout for a black male, 5'9", green shirt.
Okay.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you.
Armed with this description, the officers start knocking on the doors of neighbors, looking to see if they can provide any more additional information.
Unfortunately, none of the neighbors has seen a man matching the suspect's description.
None of the people that the officers spoke to reported seeing anyone in a green shirt the night before, and actually had no recollection of anyone fitting that description living in the community at all.
Meanwhile, news of the shooting is spreading to Katrina and Michael's loved ones.
I got a call. It was a detective on the phone. He was like, well, I need you to get to Carolina Medical Center. Your mother's been in a fatal accident. I tried to not cry, but I couldn't help it. I was just emotional, and I was a nervous wreck.
As Nikki races to the hospital, she tries to get the rest of her siblings on the phone.
I started calling my brothers, TJ and Ty, my sister as well.
I answered her phone, and it was like my mother was in the hospital, that she's been shot. At the time, I didn't know what was going on, who did it. I just got up and went to the hospital.
I think I was either at work or leaving work in Columbia, South Carolina, when I got that call. And I just remember my colleagues saying, it's not safe for you to drive. You shouldn't drive like this. You're too emotional.
When Katrina's children arrive at the hospital, they're overwhelmed with fear and confusion.
It was just like, it was like everything was stopped. It was in slow motion at that time. Like, I just wanted to see my mama and make sure she was okay at that time.
Seeing my mother on that bed, it was something that I never thought I would see.
Michael was on the same floor of the hospital. I remember wanting to go visit with him and see how he was doing, and I wasn't allowed to.
Detectives are hoping family members might have a lead on who did this to the beloved couple.
They asked me, do I know what happened or did I know? I'm like, sir, no.
Do you know anyone who would want to hurt your mother or Michael?
No. They're just really nice, everyday people, you know?
The family was shocked that this had happened. They were a couple that generally just spent most of their time with each other.
It was nothing I could tell them. I had the slightest idea.
They were very loving, kind, and gentle people. Not the type of couple or individuals to have enemies.
But Nikki says there's something else she needs to tell the investigators.
Me and my brothers, we've been trying to get a hold of our sister Star to let her know what's going on, but she's not answering her phone.
We calling and calling and calling and calling and calling Star. She never picked up. She never answered the phone.
I remember asking, where's my sister? Where's Star?
We're really worried about her.
No one had been able to get in touch with her, and they were unable to reach her by phone for several hours. It was very concerning.
If Star knew what was going on, she would have been there. So a lot of things was just going through my head about what could have happened or what's going on.
Now the family is starting to worry. Could she be another victim in this crime?
38-year-old radio DJ Michael Gretzinger and his fiancée Katrina Paul are undergoing emergency surgery after being shot in the head in their Charlotte apartment.
The couple's loved ones couldn't believe what had just happened. No one can really imagine who could do something like this.
But while speaking to police at the hospital, Katrina's children have just revealed another cause for concern. Their sister, Star Meters, is missing.
Star was the only one that didn't come to the hospital. She didn't show up. She didn't answer the phone for none of us. She didn't call back or anything.
There's absolutely no way that something like this would have happened, and she wouldn't have been by her mother's side.
Just the fact that she's not here right now, something's got to be wrong.
Star's siblings tell the detectives that she was closer to their mother than any of them.
She was more of a mama's girl than me, you know?
She was very passionate about the things that she loved, family being probably number one.
Has your sister ever disappeared like this before? No, never.
My sister's not nowhere to be found, and our mother's laying in the hospital bed. Something ain't adding up.
They're starting to worry she could be another victim in this crime.
You're already looking at 2 victims. It's not a far stretch to think that there might be a third.
When's the last time you spoke with your sister?
A few weeks ago, she came over to the house.
She called me and told me she had somebody with her. And when she showed up, the person she had with her was Tim.
Nikki explains that Timothy Crumity is her mother's ex, the man she was with before Michael.
Him and my mother, they dated for some years, but then they broke up a couple years ago.
The family goes on to tell the investigators that Timothy was the pastor of a church nearby in Concord, North Carolina.
The first time I met Tim was in middle school. I was like 12 or 13.
I never liked him at all. Like, I guess it was just the feeling that I got of his presence.
He did a lot of things behind closed doors. Timothy tried to be two different people.
They had an on and off again relationship. You would see him and then you wouldn't.
Katrina's family says that the more turbulent their relationship became, the more Tim showed his true colors.
Over the course of her relationship with Tim, he became more and more controlling.
Abusive physically, I really never seen, but his words was very abusive.
And after over 10 years together, Katrina finally had enough.
She put an end to this on again and off again relationship.
When he came over to our house that day with Starry, he was definitely trying to weasel his way back into our lives. What is he doing here?
Just hear him out.
Listen, I really miss you guys. For a while there, I thought we was family, right?
I guess.
I got you a little something.
He tried to make a peace offering with me. He tried to bring me some liquor.
Thanks, Tim.
I apologize for everything. I hope you forgive me so we can be in each other's lives again.
That's very kind of you.
Tell your mom hello for me, okay?
Star was more forgiving, but Nikki was not buying it.
I'm like, okay, cool. Because I don't like people I don't like in my house.
I'm the oldest, so I definitely remember more about my mom's relationship with Tim, more than Star does.
Investigators agreed that Tim's behavior did seem concerning. They definitely wanted to talk to him, and as soon as possible.
But could a man of God really be capable of this kind of attack?
Hey, come here. You're gonna want to take a look at this.
They were shocked to find that he had an alarming and long criminal history, spanning back as far as 25 years. And this isn't the first time he's been suspected of murder.
North Carolina police investigating the shooting of Michael Gretzinger and his fiancée Katrina Paul have discovered that Katrina's 29-year-old daughter, Star, is also missing.
Nobody could find her. She was just like, she just fell off the earth. I was calling and calling and calling and calling and calling people, but nobody saw her or seen her.
Detectives have also learned that Katrina's volatile ex, Timothy Crumity, had recently been trying to rekindle a relationship with the family.
Timothy is a local pastor at a church in Concord, North Carolina.
But while Tim may preach the word of God, his rap sheet is more befitting of a career criminal.
Hey, come here and take a look at this.
Police records indicated that Tim has spent nearly a decade of his life behind bars.
Timothy was a good manipulator, so he made himself look good, but was also a bad person at the same time.
Arrest records show that Tim's first serious run-in with the law dates back to 1989.
In September of that year, Tim was arrested for armed robbery and receiving stolen goods in Onslow County, North Carolina.
For his crime, Tim was sentenced to 8 years in prison and finally released in 1998.
After he was released, it seemed like Tim was just living a normal, law-abiding citizen type of life.
He got a job with a flooring company in Kannapolis, a city just north of Charlotte, and he was also serving as a pastor for a local church.
But just a few years later, Tim found himself back on the wrong side of the law.
In June of 2005, the boss at the flooring company where Tim worked, Danny Johnson, was found shot to death in a local park.
Danny was last seen alive with Tim at a bank in Charlotte. Danny had loaned Tim $5,000 to pay off the debt.
In September of that same year, police working the case arrested Tim for murder, under the assumption he killed Danny to avoid having to pay back the $5,000 loan.
He spent the next 5 years in Mecklenburg County Jail awaiting trial.
But after a lengthy investigation failed to turn up any physical evidence tying Tim to Danny Johnson's death, the DA was forced to drop the charges for fear of not being able to secure a guilty verdict at trial.
And in 2013, Tim was at the center of yet another homicide investigation.
On July 3rd, 2013, Tim called 911 and claimed that an armed intruder shot his then wife, Sharon.
Tim said he managed to get the gun away from the robber and shot him in the head.
He essentially described it as some sort of robbery gone wrong.
But the evidence at the crime scene didn't add up with Tim's version of events.
The robber was identified as a handyman from the neighborhood, James Luther Banks.
James and Sharon both died of gunshot wounds to the head, while Tim walked away unscathed.
James did not have a history of violent crime, and his family says that he's the furthest thing from a thief or a violent killer.
Compare that to Tim, who already had a criminal record and was suspected in a prior homicide, it just didn't add up.
Despite the suspicions surrounding Tim and his version of events, police could never prove that he was lying, and so he was never actually charged with the death of these two people.
After being involved in 2 homicides, you would think Tim would lay low. But less than 6 months later, he became a subject of another police investigation.
In December 2013, Tim's house burned to the ground. Investigation revealed that he was the person that set his house on fire.
Finally, investigators were able to turn up enough evidence to put Tim behind bars for arson and insurance fraud. But his shady history still doesn't end there.
Shortly after his release from jail, Tim befriended an elderly woman in Rowan County and moved in with her. Tim managed to convince her to appoint him as her power of attorney and was responsible for her estate. Then in April 2016, this woman died under suspicious circumstances, and Tim was the executor of her estate.
There was whispers that he killed her for her money, but that's all they ever were, whispers.
Soon after, Tim moved to Concord, North Carolina for a fresh start and got another job as a preacher. It was there he met Katrina Paul and her family.
It wasn't too much of a big church. It was a growing church, but he was a good preacher.
However, to the investigators in Charlotte, one thing is now clear. Tim Crumedy was far from a righteous man.
Tim was not the servant of God everyone thought he was, the upstanding citizen. Instead, he was a career criminal with a trail of bodies in his wake.
Homicide.
And when detectives receive a call from the hospital where Michael and Katrina are undergoing treatment, it sounds like Tim's body count may have just gone up.
Despite the doctor's best efforts, they were unable to remove the bullets from Michael's brain because they had gone so far through. And unfortunately, he succumbed to his injuries.
I sat there as he took actually his last breath.
When I learned that Michael passed away, it hurt me because I knew how much my mother loved Michael. I knew how much Michael loved my mother.
But in spite of the tragic news, there's also a glimmer of hope.
The doctors had better news about Katrina.
Miraculously, neither bullet penetrated her brain.
She was in stable condition.
Okay, we'll be right there.
And she's ready to talk to detectives.
Despite her weak condition, she was very ready to tell them exactly what happened to her.
Homicide detectives in Charlotte, North Carolina are zeroing in on Tim Crumedy as the prime suspect in the shootings of Michael Gretzinger and his fiancée, Katrina Paul.
Michael unfortunately passed away from his injuries at the hospital, but doctors were able to save Katrina.
Now that Katrina is out of surgery and in stable condition, she's ready to speak with detectives.
Despite her weak condition, She was very ready to tell them exactly what happened to her.
She tells investigators that there's no doubt in her mind who shot her.
She says it was Tim Cremiti.
Timothy. He always put on this persona that he was a great man, that he was a child of God, and he really wasn't.
Katrina tells the detectives when she first met Tim almost 2 decades ago, she had no idea his pious persona was a total sham.
About 2001, my mom came home from church one Sunday. She had a great service and she wanted us to come to church with her next Sunday. I said, okay, cool, we go to church. The pastor was Tim.
Katrina and Tim hit it off from day one.
When she first met Tim, she was enamored by him.
He spoiled my mom, and he did everything that he could to keep her happy.
But once they started dating, Katrina began to see a different side of her pastor boyfriend.
Over time, Tim became more and more controlling in their relationship. He wanted to know who Kim was talking to. Where was she going? Who was she with? When would she be back?
He had been stalking her and peeking through our windows and stuff. It was crazy. Only Satan is that controlling.
Eventually, Katrina realized she needed to find a way out of the relationship.
She had made several attempts to remove Timothy from her life. I think she went about it the way, we're all taught, you don't accept phone calls, move away.
She took a restraining order out on him because he was crazy. He just became obsessed with it.
Then, in 2014, she met Michael Gretzinger.
She realized when she met Michael that she was with someone who respected her, who loved her.
My mother was happy and in love.
Katrina felt like she'd finally erased him from her life until the night of August 5th, 2016.
Katrina and Michael were supposed to go out on a date that night, but on their way to the restaurant, Katrina realized she had forgotten her phone.
She realized she left her cell phone at home, so they turned around to go back.
But when they arrived back home, there was an unwelcome surprise waiting for them.
Somehow, Timothy found out where my mother lived, and he got into the apartment.
Tim, what are you
Shut up.
here?
Shut up. You, get over there. Get on your knees.
Okay. Take it easy. Take it easy.
She watched in horror as Tim forced Michael to his knees.
Then he fired 2 shots into his head.
Timothy shot Michael and left him bleeding on the floor.
But for Katrina, her waking nightmare was only beginning.
He then tied her hands behind her back and forced her into the passenger seat of her own car, and then drove her to his home in Rowan County.
He kept her there for several hours, just trying to figure out what to do, before ultimately putting her back in the car.
From there, Tim drove Katrina to a rural area on the outskirts of Charlotte.
He pulled her out of the car, and Tim told her to turn around.
She thought he was about to untie her and set her free.
But instead, Tim drew his weapon.
He raised his gun and shot her in the back of the head. Once she fell to the ground, he aimed and fired again.
With her ears ringing, Katrina thought for sure she was dying.
But God had other plans. She was still alive.
If Katrina wanted to continue living, Tim couldn't find out that her heart was still beating, and beating faster than ever.
She continued to play dead as Tim loaded her in the trunk of his car and drove her to another location.
When the car stopped and Katrina heard Tim get out, she kept waiting.
She waited in the trunk in darkness, unsure what would happen next.
Eventually, she decided she needed to get help if she was going to survive.
She started to try and get out of the trunk, pushing against the back of the seat and feeling around to see if there was anything that would help her get out.
My mother got out the trunk from a latch that was in the trunk that you can pull.
As she emerged from the trunk, she was relieved to see she was back at her apartment complex.
Miraculously, she was able to stumble upstairs and call 911.
You were shot in the head? Yes, ma'am.
She was fading, like she was trying to leave, but she was too strong. She was fighting it.
It's extremely rare to survive a gunshot wound to the head, but 2 gunshots, that's practically unheard of.
However, the joy over Katrina's miraculous recovery is marred by the ongoing investigation into her daughter's disappearance.
Did Tim say anything to you about Anastasia?
About Star? Oh, why?
To go through an ordeal like that, only to pull through and to realize that your child is missing, that had to be a devastating blow.
We know that you've been through a lot already.
We're going to find her.
Armed with Katrina's statement, the investigators are ready to make their move on Tim Crumedy.
They have all the evidence they need to arrest Tim. Police take Tim into custody that Sunday.
Police charged him with first-degree murder and also assault, kidnapping, and attempted murder.
Tim's congregation is stunned.
When you're a pastor, people trust you. The congregation trusts you. They believe in you. They believe that you're giving the word of God. And to have this happen, you know, the public was actually so shocked at all of it.
But where is Katrina's youngest daughter, Star?
Investigators really believed he knew where Star was.
They feel like they are at Tim's mercy to get the information they need about her disappearance.
After surviving the brutal attack that claimed her fiancé's life, Katrina Paul has told detectives that the man responsible for pulling the trigger is her ex-boyfriend, Tim Crumedy.
I just thought it was a miracle that she survived. It's proof that not only is God watching over us, but he's not done with her yet.
Now, North Carolina police have taken Tim into custody and are trying to get a confession out of him, as well as the whereabouts of Katrina's missing daughter, Star.
Where is she, Tim?
Unfortunately, Tim isn't forthcoming.
I have nothing to say to you. I want an attorney.
Tim refused to admit to anything.
While Tim is booked into jail to await trial, the investigators continue their efforts to find Star.
The detectives did their best. They tried, but no one could find her.
I never accepted that she was gone, not for a second. I still had hope that my sister was somewhere.
But as more time passes, that hope becomes harder to hold on to.
It was months, and then it was years. And as Tim's trial approached, they still didn't have any answers about what happened to Anastasia.
I was angry. I was very angry.
I just felt so sorrowful for the family, the suffering they went through. I don't know how they deal with that burden.
Despite their pain, Katrina's family is standing strong by their mother's side when Tim's trial gets underway in February 2018.
When prosecutors make their opening statements, they contend that this crime was about one thing: control.
Timothy was a controlling man. He was a very controlling man.
When Katrina broke up with him and started dating Michael, prosecutors said that lit a flame of jealousy in his heart.
The thought of being rejected, it pushed him over the edge.
According to the prosecution, the events that played out on the night of August 5th, 2016, were the direct result of Tim's unbridled jealousy and rage.
Tim executed his romantic rival in cold blood and attempted to do the same to his ex-girlfriend. But by sheer luck, she managed to survive.
Among the prosecution's first witnesses was the first officer on the scene, who testified that he saw someone in a green t-shirt running away on the night in question. In court, he identified Tim Cremity as that person he saw running away.
Investigators thought he may have grabbed a towel from Katrina's apartment to wipe his fingerprints from the crime scene.
But the prosecution's most powerful witness by far is Katrina Paul herself.
Before Katrina took the stand, they played her audio from her 911 call, and it just sent a chill through the entire courtroom.
He shot me. He shot me.
I heard my mom on that 911 call, and I just lost it.
To have that played in a courtroom and broadcast everywhere, that is one brave woman.
Brave enough to take the stand and confront the man who shot her face to face.
It was the first time that she had seen Tim since that night, and he stared at her coldly as she testified.
Katrina was able to describe her incredible story of survival to the jury about getting kidnapped by her ex, shot in the head not once but twice, and escaping from the trunk of the car to get help. It's nothing short of a miracle that she survived to tell them what happened to her.
When the jury retires to deliberate, they take 2 full days to weigh the evidence.
In the end, they found Tim guilty of first-degree murder of Michael Gretzinger, as well as the kidnapping and attempted murder of Katrina Paul.
Tim Cremity is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
The public was so shocked at all of it. Shocked that a man who professed to be the representative of God would do this.
For Katrina Paul and her loved ones, it's gratifying to see Tim sent away for life. But no punishment can make up for what he did to them.
I don't feel like justice been served, only because he's still here.
I thought it was too lenient. I thought there's ever a time where capital punishment should be in play. I thought this was one of those times.
And even after Tim is sentenced for his attack on Michael and Katrina, her family still doesn't have answers on Anastasia's whereabouts.
Everyone believed Tim had something to do with her disappearance, but he wouldn't talk.
Another year goes by without any new developments in the case. But on January 15, 2019, deputies with the Iredell County Sheriff's Office just outside Charlotte receive a chilling 911 call.
Somebody was going to look at some land in Mooresville, and he came across some remains.
They found 70 human bones strewn about a wooded area behind a grocery store.
That evidence was sent eventually to North Carolina State Forensic Team.
It was Anastasia Meters.
For Anastasia's family, it's bittersweet news.
When I found out that it was my sister, I just broke down. We didn't have to look no further. We knew that she was on her journey to heaven.
After that, I just felt cold. I just felt like, I felt a lot of anger.
I'm an older sister, and looking at I would have traded tastes with her.
Although the motive for Starr's murder is still unclear, her family believes it was just another way Tim tried to get back at Katrina for leaving him.
Tim is still the main suspect in Anastasia's murder, but the case is still ongoing and he has not been tried for the crime.
I think that no one imagines these kind of things happening.
This kind of person is moving amongst us every single day. There are other Tim Cremitys out there.
He was the devil's child, I would say.
Don't ever think it can't happen to you, because it really can.
If nothing else, the incident showed us.
She the heart of the family. When she died, it was just like everything started going down. But I really wish that she could see her kids grow up.
Vanessa laid on the ground with a bullet hole in her chest and blood everywhere. It's a scary scene.
Often when we think about love, there's a happy ever after. But the whole sad situation about this, you have two people who are falling for the exact same person.
There's a lot of contention, just jealousy, anger, a lot of fights. It's an environment where there can be a lot of conflict and chaos.
I think she had been embarrassed. I think she was angry, and she did a terrible, terrible thing.
June 26, 2011. It's around 5:20 p.m. when police in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, received multiple reports of shots fired at the Sunset Village Apartments.
911. Somebody just got shot at Sunset Village. Ma'am? Somebody just got shot at Sunset.
Who went back?
911, may I help you?
Go back over there. 911, I need you out here. Somebody just got shot.
911. Would y'all please come to his apartment in Sunset? Please, this girl got shot at her chest.
I was the on-call detective. I received a call about a possible shooting victim that was laying at our apartment complex on the ground. Up on my arrival, there was a lot of people out. It was kind of chaotic. And a lot of people were screaming. A lot of people was hollering at the police. I saw a man with the victim had rolled on her back and was attempting to give her CPR. She had a single gunshot wound to the back.
Officers check her ID. They find out that she is a 21-year-old named Vanessa Bearden and a mom of 2.
Paramedics arrive on the scene moments later.
Vanessa's unresponsive, but they do find a pulse, so they're hopeful, and first responders are working really hard to save her life and rush her to the hospital.
Vanessa Bearden was born on May 15, 1990. She grew up just outside Pine Bluff on her family's farm.
My grandfather he was a farmer. He made sure that my grandma had all of this property for us. We have horses, geese, chickens. We used to get the chicken eggs.
By all accounts, they were a very loving, tight-knit family. Vanessa and her siblings were raised in the church, and she sang in the choir. In fact, she was the first Black altar girl of that church.
Vanessa, my auntie, she liked to ride horses, go to church. She was really family-oriented. She was respected a lot. Everybody knew that she was a good person.
One of her closest friends growing up was a girl named Kobe. Their families actually knew each other. They went to the same school, and in fact, they had a lot in common.
But Vanessa's idyllic childhood also came with some unique challenges.
She struggled with mental health issues like OCD and ADHD. The family didn't know what to do with that, unfortunately. So Vanessa started doing a lot of research on her own. Even as a kid, she would write reports about it for school. Growing up on a farm, though, may have helped with that a little bit. Being around animals and nature, it can be very grounding. And her father seemed to be especially understanding as well. You know, Vanessa's dad was a down-to-earth country type guy. So, his way of helping was to give her a pocket knife. It was a reminder not to let her OCD get her tied up into knots. If she ever felt it was closing in, he wanted her to cut right through it.
In 2008, when Vanessa was 17 years old, she suffered a series of emotional blows. First, her father died of cancer. Then, her mother was diagnosed with the disease as well.
When Vanessa's father passed away and her mom got diagnosed with cancer, she really stepped up in the family. She helped with her brother and sister, she helped them do homework, as well as her niece, and really tried to keep the family together.
She did everything for us when my mama wasn't there. She basically taught us what we needed to know for school-wise. She was real smart.
Then, Vanessa discovered she was going to have a child of her own.
Now, Vanessa was a teenager when she found out she was pregnant. And it seemed that that boyfriend was not that great of a guy. But you know, Vanessa, she tried to make the relationship work anyway. She dropped out to have the baby, and she got her GED instead. Vanessa moves in with this guy, and after another year, she's pregnant with their second child. But it's very clear he's not cut out to be a husband or a father, so she finally leaves him.
To support her children as a single mother, Vanessa took classes to become a certified nursing assistant. She was inspired by her struggles with mental health to help others with similar issues.
After she got her certificate, Vanessa got a job at a daycare center. So she wanted to pursue a career in child psychology and counsel kids with mental illness so they wouldn't, have to go through what she did. And she kept taking courses at Southeastern Arkansas College.
She was in a helping field where, she was a CNA, she's working towards becoming an RN. So that's part of that field is making sure that people are being safe and being taken care of when they have needs they can't take care of themselves.
By the time she was 21, Vanessa had her hands full, juggling single motherhood, work, and school, as well as a new relationship.
He was really good to her, and that relationship became serious real quick. He even popped a question while they were looking for an apartment in Little Rock. And she was looking for nursing jobs in the new city to start her new life.
By summer 2011, Vanessa seemed to have a promising future ahead of her. But now, she's been shot outside an apartment building, and police want to know why.
She was 21, she had 2 kids. So this was shocking to a lot of people. Being shot in broad daylight, it's a scary scene. Whoever shot Vanessa definitely had a reason behind it, had a motive. It was intentional.
While on the scene, it was very chaotic. There was a lot of witnesses there from the different apartment complexes that was around in the area. So we had to secure the area and calm the scene down so we could figure out what was going on. Miss Vanessa Bearden, she did not live at the complex where she was found. So the question that needed to be answered was, why was she in that area? Was it a boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, a significant other, attempted robbery? Why was she shot?
As doctors struggle to save the life of gunshot victim Vanessa Bearden, detectives with the Pine Bluff Police Department try to figure out exactly what happened.
There were multiple 911 calls coming into dispatch that day. There are reports of a woman being shot.
There are several apartment buildings all nearby, and many of the witnesses are residents who heard the commotion and also the gunshot. But what led up to this moment? They know from experience that time is not on their side. So police need to move quickly before witnesses scatter or decide to stay silent.
I believe in a lot of small communities, especially African-American communities, there's not always a connection between the police and the community. In those communities, most individuals will take care of their own things. So if a problem is occurring, the authorities aren't always called in to settle disputes or things of that nature because there may be a lack of trust that is there.
Investigators start with the man who was giving Vanessa CPR when first responders arrived.
The Good Samaritan, who still has blood on his clothes, actually is the reverend of the church across the street where Vanessa got shot.
He heard some gunshots and then almost immediately heard some females screaming for some help. And he went to the area where they were, and he discovered Vanessa Bearden and discovered that she had been shot. He began to give her first aid.
He says he saw a few girls running from the scene when he got there. He said he also saw a young lady in the breezeway with a gun. He said he didn't recognize her, but he feels confident that he could pick her out of a lineup.
The Reverend also gives police a pocket knife he found in Vanessa's waistband. He has no idea whether she used it during the fight.
Now, it's not uncommon that women carry knives. Sometimes it's for protection, when they're walking by themselves. Maybe some women who aren't comfortable carrying guns have been known to carry knives on them.
Pine Bluff is a bit on the rough areas, I won't lie. It has its nickname coined as Crime Bluff. Yeah. I carry a pocket knife for my protection. I have one in the car. I have one in my purse. It's just because as a female in Pine Bluff, or as a Black female in general, I feel like it's important to just have some type of protection.
So investigators don't find any blood on the knife, so it definitely doesn't look like it's a stabbing. But there is a 9mm shell casing on the ground.
Police take the bullet casing into evidence, but there's little else to go on. They're hoping someone will be able to identify the suspected shooter, whom witnesses describe as a young African-American woman.
The apartments in this complex are really close together, and they're all connected by this breezeway. So when something happens, someone will either hear it or see it. Police are interviewing everyone, and everyone pretty much had the same story.
It all began in the apartment parking lot earlier that day.
They said that the suspect was involved in an argument that escalated into an altercation with 8 females. They said also that they saw someone recording this fight on their phone.
There were people from all over those apartment complexes. There's 4 or 5 apartment complexes that sit right there in that 2 or 3 block area. There were 20, 30, maybe even 40 people there, all of them with cell phones.
The witnesses, however, were not sure what that initial fight was about, but a man broke it up and put the suspect in a car. They drove away, and the crowd dispersed. Now, a few of the other women involved in the fight stayed there, though.
A short while later, the suspect returns and approaches Vanessa and her friend through the apartment breezeway.
And the guy who broke up the fight is no longer with her, and now she's got a gun. She exchanges words with these other women, and it gets very heated. That's when she opens fire.
They hear a gunshot, and they see Vanessa collapse. They then see the shooter go over to Vanessa, stand over her, and then walk away.
Witnesses believe the shooter lives in the apartment complex. Luckily, someone comes forward who can identify her.
While police are still on the scene, a young lady comes up to one of the officers and introduces herself as Colby. She's Vanessa's friend and was also there when everything happened.
She says she knows exactly who the shooter is and why she did it. This was all about revenge.
Police in Pine Bluff, Arkansas are talking to Colby, who says she was with 21-year-old Vanessa Bearden when she was shot. According to Colby, the fight that led to the shooting started before they even got there.
Colby told the officers that she and her friends were there visiting another one of their friends by the name of Alicia.
A while later, Vanessa stopped by the apartment complex and was hanging out with Colby while waiting for her ride home.
Colby tells police that when she and Vanessa arrived, they started watching an argument that had started in the parking lot, which was between Alicia and another woman, Olivia Moody.
Colby tells the officers that Alicia and Olivia are arguing over a man.
She described how Alicia was now dating a young man that Olivia Moody used to be involved with, and how that caused some friction. And it ended up with Alicia and Olivia Moody getting into a fight.
And instead of being adult about it, they both was out there fighting.
Colby says the fight quickly drew a crowd of people. Some of them even joined in.
It's almost like being on a schoolyard, a playground. When the fight broke out, everybody that was around those apartment complexes came to watch and unfortunately egg it on. Mrs. Moody was just as involved in that provocation and those actions as Alicia was. She was not trying to escape them. She was not trying to get away from them. She was giving as good as she got.
Colby says Vanessa Bearden wasn't involved at first because she was recording the fight on her cell phone. After several minutes, someone finally intervened.
During the fight with Miss Moody, a friend of hers was able to pull her from the fight. Miss Moody, she noticed Miss Bearden recording the fight and proceeded towards her direction.
According to witness accounts, at that point, Olivia broke away from her friend and lunged towards Vanessa until the friend stopped her again.
He finally manages to break up the fight and gets Olivia to leave with him.
Alicia went back to her apartment, but Colby and Vanessa stayed outside a while longer. Colby now wishes they hadn't.
Colby and Vanessa decide to just take a breather, relax, cool off a bit. So they found an area in the complex to just kind of sit and talk.
The suspect drives by as a passenger in a vehicle and rolls down the window and hollers out the window something to the effect of, "I'll see you females later," except she didn't say female.
Colby says Vanessa showed her the knife that her dad gave her. Like she was ready if anything happens. But unfortunately, the knife was more of a security blanket than a weapon. Colby says she felt like Olivia was setting them up, and it turns out she was right.
Apparently in that time, she went and got a gun and was trying to bait them back to fight.
Colby says she and Vanessa eventually decided to head back through the breezeway. That's when Olivia stepped around the corner.
She is walking towards them. Then she brandishes that firearm at them.
Colby immediately takes off running and hears the gunshot. She thinks Vanessa's right behind her, but she's not.
The bullet hit Vanessa in her back as she was running away, and it came out through her chest, and she just collapsed to the ground.
But if Olivia's disagreement was with Alicia, why did she go after Vanessa?
I remember kind of being shocked that Alicia, the main person that Olivia Moody had the complaint with, was not even there.
Miss Bearden just got drawn into this situation by being a friend.
It could be that Olivia was upset with Vanessa because she was recording the fight. Or maybe she was angry because they were all ganging up on her, and she didn't care who she shot.
When investigators talk to Alicia at her apartment, she verifies Colby's story, but she wasn't there to witness the shooting itself. The other man Colby mentioned is nowhere to be found.
Nobody knew who he really was. Wasn't as if we had a name associated with a person that could go be interviewed immediately after the incident.
The only person detectives haven't spoken to yet is Olivia Moody herself. But before they can do that, they get some terrible news.
Vanessa was rushed to Jefferson Regional Medical Center. And despite the doctor's best efforts, she succumbed to her injuries and she was pronounced dead at the hospital.
With her being gone, it took from us too. She the heart of the family. Her and Vanessa and my mom, like, if we lose them, we ain't got no family.
Vanessa's death also means the case has officially become a homicide.
Investigators don't know yet if this woman intended to kill Vanessa, but either way, she's looking at a murder charge.
Arkansas police now have a suspect for the shooting that claimed the life of Vanessa Bearden. 20-year-old Olivia Moody. But a background check suggests Olivia is the opposite of a cold-blooded killer.
Olivia's life was kind of like an inspirational story.
Our mother was a drug addict, and she was actually raised by her grandmother. It was in a not-so-great neighborhood in Chicago, Illinois.
Everybody in the community knew Olivia to be such a kind-hearted person. She always had a smile. She always had a hug. When Olivia was just 8 years old, she got featured in Time magazine seeking out for help for her mother and her addiction. It showed her character even just as a young child. Some of her siblings followed under her mother's footsteps, and Olivia was determined not to follow down that same path. She wanted to succeed in life.
Olivia worked hard in school, believing that education was the best way out of her situation.
Olivia was academically gifted. She was a straight-A student all throughout high school, and even with growing up in a rough high school, she still managed to be excelling.
She got teased for it a lot, but it eventually paid off.
She earns a scholarship to come down to the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff to be able to get into a new environment, to also find a place to basically reset her life and start life over again so she can get away from the upbringing that she came up with.
Olivia decided to major in criminal justice with plans to eventually get her law degree.
Olivia spent her whole life seeing tragedies, seeing trauma just in her own city. She watched her mom go through addiction, watching close family members fall into street violence. These are just some of the things that led her to wanting to become an attorney.
She also was doing intern work with one of the circuit courts here in town, and so people thought a lot of Olivia.
She was on the dean's list. She was very intelligent, had a bright future ahead of her.
While in college, she also started her first serious relationship.
Olivia was somewhat of an oddball in Pine Bluff. She was able to find a boyfriend and find love. She was finally happy. She was really finding her way.
Growing up and maybe not having secure relationships with her parents and finding, someone that she could be in love with and she started to feel safe with and started to maybe establish a family of her own.
Olivia was heartbroken when her boyfriend suddenly broke up with her and started dating Alicia, the young woman from the recent fight.
Olivia was in love with her boyfriend, and when Alicia came and basically stole him, that was very devastating for her and upsetting. Love triangles can be really tricky. It often leads to a lot of drama. There's a lot of contention, just jealousy, anger, a lot of fights. It's an environment where there can be a lot of conflict and chaos.
But was it enough to drive an aspiring lawyer to kill someone?
We went to the apartment where the witnesses told us that she lived, knocked on the door. She opened the door, asked her if she was Olivia Moody. She stated that was her. When we told her we was going to have to place her on arrest and take her for questioning, she didn't seem like she was upset at that time. She seemed more like she was relieved. I told her I was going to read her rights before I asked any questions. She said she understood that because she was a student at UAPB and she was a criminal justice major. So I read her rights, and what I found interesting was she told me that the correct charge that you would have for me would be second-degree murder.
Just hours after Vanessa Bearden was killed, the primary suspect, Olivia Moody, sits down with investigators to give her side of the story. Olivia insists she didn't mean to kill anyone. She was defending herself against a group of bullies.
Olivia admits that she was upset about her boyfriend and his relationship with Alicia. But according to her, Alicia was the one that wouldn't let it go.
Alicia definitely was cocky about it. She was excited. She wanted to brag. She definitely wanted to rub it in Olivia's face. Constant picking, nagging, to the point where Olivia just had to block her.
To make matters worse, Alicia's apartment was just across the street from Olivia's.
But it was crystal clear that they did not like each other, and a fight was bound to happen when they all live in that small area with all those different complexes.
And on June 26th, the two finally collided.
Olivia decided to go to the corner store down from her apartment complex. There, she was met by Alicia and a group of her friends, and that's when everything started.
The way Olivia tells it, Alicia was the one that jumped her first. Now they get into it, but guess what? Olivia is tougher than anyone gave her credit for.
Once Olivia seemed to be getting the better of Alicia, her friends jumped in the fight. And basically, well, you know, when it's many on one, the many usually win.
The video taken of the fight shows clearly Olivia was outnumbered. There's hair pulling and arms flying, and it was a chaotic scene for sure.
Olivia was actually knocked over into a ditch, and she assumed the fetal position.
Olivia says she was afraid the group of women was going to kill her until her friend arrived to break up the fight. As he pulls her away, Olivia notices Vanessa recording.
She's already upset that all these women are gaining up on her, but then when she saw someone recording it, that took her to a whole nother level.
But her friend stopped her before the fight could escalate any further.
Put Olivia in his car and took her to one of Olivia's friends' house so that she could feel safe somewhere, because these same girls were already harassing her at her place.
He also gave her the gun to protect herself. Olivia claims that at the time, neither of them expected she would have to use it.
Sometime later, Olivia returns back to the apartment, and the girls who had fought her where Olivia lived were gathered not too far from her apartment.
Olivia says she had her friend drop her off at the back entrance so that she could avoid all of them. But as she walked past the breezeway, she heard one of them shout, "Get her."
Olivia says that's when she saw Vanessa coming towards her and pulled out the gun.
Olivia closed her eyes and shot the gun. And that's when Vanessa was hit.
Miss Moody, in her testimony that she gave, she admitted firing the gun, but she also said that she was really just trying to scare them away.
To detectives, it seems more likely that Olivia shot Vanessa because she was still angry at her for recording the fight.
In the digital age, you know, when something happens and it's recorded, it's there and it never goes away. And anybody can have that, can get a copy of that. You never can take that back. So I can imagine Olivia was feeling helpless at that time period, some embarrassment.
She had gone after Vanessa earlier, so it kind of made sense that she would go after her again when Vanessa got back.
Based on the statements gathered so far, police arrest Olivia Moody and take her into custody.
She was charged with murder in the first degree, which is a Class Y felony in the state of Arkansas. Carries with it a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years, up to life imprisonment.
Not everyone believes she's guilty, however. As word of Olivia's arrest begins to spread, many residents rush to support her.
She's a bright, young legal student that's given a lot to the community. A lot of people believed her. And in fact, they saw her as the victim.
Olivia impacted so many people in the community, so much so to when she was arrested, the community got together to raise some money for her to be bonded out. There were fundraisers and fish fries and raffles, all to make sure that she had a good legal team on her side.
But there are just as many supporters for Vanessa Bearden.
They remember Mrs. Bearden's accomplishments in becoming a nurse and the love that everyone said that Mrs. Bearden had for her children.
People in the community also helped raise money for Vanessa's mother because she was left to raise 2 children on her own, all while having terminal cancer.
The town is deeply divided over the case, and prosecutors fear a jury might be as well.
Some felt like it was self-defense. Some felt like it was murder.
On May 12, 2012, Olivia Moody graduates college with a criminal justice degree and a 3.6 GPA. 4 days later, she stands trial for the killing of Vanessa Bearden. The prosecution's case centers around disproving Olivia's claim of self-defense.
Mrs. Moody was just as involved in that provocation and those actions as Alicia was.
The fight has been over for a while before Olivia shoots Vanessa. Her life is not in danger when she comes back with that gun.
We're not talking about a 5-minute reactionary thing that happens here. We're looking at Olivia getting away from the situation, leaving and going away for an hour, and now coming back. Now it's time for retribution from Olivia's perspective.
Olivia Moody. She was trying very clearly to bait those young ladies to come to her on her terms.
Prosecutors argue Olivia used her knowledge of the criminal justice system to lure Vanessa into a situation where she could argue self-defense, ironically helping prove it was a premeditated act. Although Vanessa had a knife on her at the time, her friend Colby testifies that she never used it or threatened Olivia with it.
If the knife had in fact been in her hand, certainly that would be part of the overall circumstances that could have been argued to a jury to produce fear. But in Arkansas, you have to prove that there was no opportunity for Olivia Moody to have avoided the situation or to have retreated from the situation.
Vanessa's injuries also prove that she couldn't have been moving towards Olivia.
She had a single gunshot wound to the back, her back shoulder. She was fleeing from the suspect, and at that point, she was no longer a threat.
Still, with public opinion about Olivia's guilt so evenly divided in the town, prosecutors decide to play it safe.
The prosecution offered to give her a plea bargain. The prosecution offered to reduce the charge against Olivia Moody from first-degree murder to manslaughter, which is a Class D felony, carrying with it a maximum prison sentence of 6 years and or a fine of $10,000. And she declined.
Olivia seems certain that once the jury hears her side of the story, she'll be acquitted.
In the state of Arkansas, when you plead self-defense, we were going to have her testify as to her state of mind.
The jury here is all about Olivia's background, how she's been bullied on social media, and how these women have ganged up on her. They're arguing when she sees Vanessa waiting for her, she thinks it's going to happen again.
And we're trying to prove that the circumstances were such that a reasonable person in Olivia's position would have been in fear of serious bodily harm or death had the young ladies who were approaching her engaged her in another assault.
But the jury doesn't seem to be convinced.
Olivia came across to jurors as not being remorseful, especially given her obvious intelligence and education. And I don't think it was helped by her performance on the stand.
She was very matter of fact. She was not upset at all. She did not appear to have any remorse or concern for Vanessa Bearden. She was very snobbish, if not arrogant, almost of the attitude of, I've told you it was self-defense, how dare you question me?
It really came down to, does the jury believe that it was reasonable and the only option Mrs. Moody had was to defend herself with deadly force?
On May 18th, 2012, the jury returns a verdict. While they don't think the killing was premeditated, they also don't believe it was self-defense. Instead, they find Olivia Moody guilty of second-degree murder. She receives the maximum sentence.
On May 12th, Olivia received her bachelor's degree in honors. And on May 19th, she received 30 years in prison.
The two women involved are fighting over the same man. And that's not a good reason in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, for somebody to die. And I think that also had something to do with the length of the sentence. In the minds of some jurors, when you talk to them, they had an expectation that of someone with Olivia's education, training, and intelligence, that she would make different choices, rightly or wrongly.
Olivia Moody has no one to blame for this but herself. She walked through that breezeway with that gun in her hand. She shot Vanessa Bearden as Vanessa Bearden was unarmed and ran away from her. That is no one's fault but Olivia Moody's.
In 2019, Olivia gets some surprising news.
After serving just 7 years of her sentence, Olivia went in front of the parole board, and she was released on September 27th, 2019, which actually was her 29th birthday.
Shootings and homicides, we deal with them quite frequently. This one was a little different because it wasn't drug-related and it wasn't gang-related. It was just a tragedy. 2 young ladies' lives, one lost, families torn apart. It was a situation I feel like that probably could have been avoided.
Even if Olivia claimed that she was being bullied, Vanessa had actually never met her before that day. Hearing Olivia paint herself as the victim was painful for her family, because Vanessa is the one that's not gonna see her kids grow up.
Revenge, that's all it was. She wanted revenge. She came back to a situation that had already de-escalated, and she killed her cold blood. They didn't know each other. Vanessa, my auntie, she was just there at the wrong time.
I believe that Olivia Moody had been embarrassed earlier that day. I believe that she thought she had set up a scenario where she could get payback or get revenge and get away with it, and she was wrong. She did a very terrible, terrible thing and cost, by all accounts, a wonderful young lady and mother of Vanessa Bearden her life.
I really wish that she could see her kids grow up, because they smart, they real smart. With her daughter, she looked just like Vanessa. So it's just like she never really even loved. But she, we know she's gone. It's sad.